BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Hello everybody, welcome back, good morning. So, look at the state of the S&P. We lost the Bollinger Band overnight. So that's a good thing if you're me, because kind of expected that, went short on it, and I'm now living my best life with it. There's a lot of people who didn't think that was going to happen, and I could understand that. I mean, I was surprised to see it happen so fast in one day, and to see continuation on this, because if you look at the S&P, without the futures market, we are still supported on a Bollinger Band centre, so there was a chance, and there still is a chance, that we open today with SPX with a bit more of a bounce, but you know, futures pre-market suggests otherwise. So that's looking pretty nasty. I remember looking on Twitter the other day, or X as it's now known, and people were talking about how the dollar was going to break down to significant lows and everything was going to rally extremely hard. I was like, okay, I mean, let's just wind our necks back in. I mean, we were talking about this bounce roughly around this 200 exponential moving average on the weekly for the Dixie as an area to be relatively concerned about in the short term, because you know, if we come down to there, and again we may even sweep those lows, bounce up towards the 20 moving average is more likely, so areas of 104. You know, we've actually bounced already back above the 200 exponential, and it looks like we're catching a bounce on it again, leading all these moving averages to be fair game. Now, dollar up, you know, assets down is usually the rule, isn't it, really? Now, if we look at the S&P again, you know, there is a support on the 10 exponential, and then below that, this is a weekly, by the way, the 20 weekly is 5,400. But I have been saying that if this does go and create a lower high, which this has, and we lose this area, then all these down here is fair game, and it allows for a 20% drop on stocks. That's why I made that post yesterday before all of this happened. It doesn't mean that I believe that's definitely going to happen, by the way. But you have to be aware of these situations, otherwise you can't make money out of the markets, right? I'm not calling for a 20% crash. I'm not calling for a 1,000,000% pump. I'm interpreting the chart day by day, week by week, month by month, to try and get my head around it so I can make some money out of it. Okay, I appreciate that I'm running a YouTube channel here, and with that comes some expectation for me to tell you exactly what's going to happen, but, you know, it's not possible. Someone out there is going to tell you exactly what's going to happen with pure confidence, but that doesn't mean that they know, it just means that they come across that way. I'm trying to be honest here. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows, but I've known enough, or should I say assumed enough, to expect a breakdown, which is what we're getting. And Bitcoin is feeling it too. Now, just like yesterday and the week before and the week before and the week before and the week before, Bitcoin is in a consolidation trend, right? We've got resistance, we've got support, and that's basically all we're looking at. And there was this intermediate, temporary, short-term time frame support, which had held for about a week. It's broken now. We kind of assumed that it would break because we're below all moving averages, with death crosses on exponentials here and on simples here, which was retested as well. And now we've pushed down and breaking down. So yeah, we found a little bit of a bounce around 55,500 for some bizarre reason. It's not really anything, to be honest. It's nothing. I'm talking about 52,500. That's where I think we're headed at this point right now. That doesn't mean it's going to happen today, by the way. So I get these comments all the time. You said 52,500. By the time I finished watching the video, we were still at the same price as was when I started. Oh my god. Right, listen. This is a trend, and it's a downtrend, and the downtrend is strengthening, and we will continue to downtrend until we hit the downtrend line. And then if we hit the trend line here and bounce from it and go up to the top, that is absolutely perfectly acceptable with me, because that is the fix that we've got. What I keep referring to is the invalidation of supports and resistances. That's when you know things are going to get worse or better. That's why I kind of flipped sort of, I suppose, more bearish than bullish over the last few weeks, because it became more evident that we're going to be more bearish for a little bit longer before we turn around and go bullish, which I still expect us to be, you know, maybe towards the end of this year still, into next year, bullish. But until then, we've still got to find our lows. The low, at least as far as the formation is concerned, is 52,500. If you lose that, then it gets pretty nasty. Now, the big problem with all of this is now going to be the S&P, which is why I've been saying this is my fear. My fear is that the S&P has found a double top, and it goes to create not just a lower high, which this is, it goes to make a lower low, and on a candle body basis breaks down below the 20 moving average, which allows for you to come down towards 5,100. If you come down to 5,100, you basically in the midst of a downtrend. You can move your way back up to 5,004 and then back down to these increments into the mid 4,000s, really. So I'll leave it with you there. We may be consolidating harder for a little longer before we turn around and find any kind of low. We were talking about this on the Patreon. I'm not going to bore anyone to death about it. Maybe I'll make another video about this sort of thing later. But the bull market for crypto is still very much a bull market, even if Bitcoin comes down to 36,000. People will disagree with me, but it's still an intact bull market. We've seen this for altcoins especially. We were looking at them on the Patreon and gave a few examples about how the last bull market, considered to be a bull market for 3 years, spent basically 2 years going sideways. You know, all the popular coins mostly did that. You know, ADA we were looking at, sideways, 2 years. What else was there? Ethereum, sideways, 2 years, or just short of 2 years, 1.5 years. That is your bull market. Now, most altcoins doing the same thing still. They've had their ups, they've had their downs. They're effectively sideways for a 2-year period. They've not moved up, they've not moved down, or they have moved up, they have moved down. They more or less stayed at the same price. It's the same. It's the same. So I don't see this bull market as any different to the last bull market. Just when you're in it, it feels different. But to me, it looks exactly the same, which is why I'm pretty confident in my projection that the bull market will maintain its breakout towards either the end of this year, but certainly into next year. We go to new all-time highs, and everybody's happy again. But until then, we're going to be watching the red, and we're going to be monitoring the lows as they come. This will be good, but if we lose this 40,000, break 40,000, we'll see you in the 30s. Maybe in the next few weeks, maybe in the next couple of months. But certainly this year we should be putting in a significant low, whether it's in the form of a boosh candle or just a slow bleed out into November, December perhaps, where we've already at that point found the low. Anyway, there's nothing much more to say than that. I've got to get going. Kids going to school today. Brilliant. So, better get my ass out of my pyjamas and sort that out. Right, thanks for watching. Take it easy.